Hello everyone. This video is the continuation part of the previous video that I have made on the find command, how we can use find command in Linux and Mac terminals to find the files and directories based on the file and directory name. So in this video, we are going to see more different ways how we can find the files and directories based on the file size, permission, ownership, etc. So let's get started with the video. So currently I'm in the logs directory, and if you can see here, I have created a couple of directories inside the logs directory, and I have some files as well. And for login.log file, you can see the size is 0, and for a couple of other files, the size is around 20 bytes. So let's say if I want to find all the files and directories in the current working directory, which has size less than 10 bytes, then you can use find command to find all the files and directories. So for that, let me use find and dot. So here, since I want to find all the files and directories in the current working directory, that means in the logs directory, so I'm using dot. If you want to find the files and directories in the other directory, then you can provide the path to the directory here. So for now, let me go with the dot. And I want to find all the files and directories based on the size. So let me give hyphen size. So I want to find the files and directories which are less than 10 bytes. So I'm providing minus 10C. So here C represents the bytes and minus 10 represents less than 10. So if I click on enter, you can see we are getting login.log file which has 0 bytes, and we are getting a couple of other files as well which are in registered directory. So let's say if I want to find all the directories and files which has more than 10 bytes of size, then you can use plus 10. So this represents more than 10 bytes of size. So if I click on enter, I'm getting all the files and directories which has size more than 10 bytes. And one more thing I want to point out here is if you don't want to deal with bytes and if you want to search the files based on the kilobytes, you can use small k for that. And if you want to deal with megabytes, then you can use capital M. And if you want to find files and directories based on the size which has some gigabytes, then you can use G, capital G. So in this way, you can find the files and directories based on the file size and the directory size. Now let's see the other use case. For example, if you want to find all the files and directories based on the permission as well, then you can use find command. So let's say if I want to find all the files and directories in the current working directory, which has permission level of 777. Then I can use hyphen perm, and then I can provide the permission level. And if I click on enter, you can see I'm not getting any output. That means in the current working directory, in the logs directory, I don't have any files and directories which has 777 permission level. So now let me provide a 777 permission to login.log file and see whether we are getting that output or not. So using the chmod 777, I'll provide the permission to login.log file. So if I click on enter, the permission. So here you can see we have provided 777 permission level to the login.log file, so which doesn't have previously. So now if I run the same command, you can see we are getting the login.log file, which has permission level of 777. So in this way, you can find all the files and directories based on the permission level as well. Now, let's say if you want to find all the files in the current working directory, which are modified less than 10 minutes ago, then you can use find command. So find dot, and I want to list all the files, so I'll be using type F and hyphen min minus 10. So here hyphen min indicates the modified minutes, And here I'm specifying -10. This means less than 10 minutes ago. And if I click on enter, you can see I'm not getting any files because I haven't modified any files less than 10 minutes ago. So let's say I want to write some content into the signup.log file. So I'll be opening the signup.log file in VI editor, and let me write some content here. Let me save this file and let me run the same command again. So now you can see I'm getting this signup.log file because I have just modified that signup.log file. And let's say if you want to find the files which are modified more than 10 minutes ago, then you can use +10, which indicates more than 10 minutes ago. And you can see we are getting all the files which are modified more than 10 minutes ago. And similarly, if you want to find the files which are modified more than days ago, for example, let's say I want to find all the files in the current working directory which are modified more than 1 day ago, then you can use -m time, which indicates the days, and I'll provide +1, which indicates more than 1 day. So you can say I'm not getting any files, so let me provide -1, which indicates less than 1 day. And here you can see I'm getting all the files inside this log directory. So just like how we have min and mtime for modified minutes and modified days, we also have cmin and ctime for change minutes and change days. And we also have amin and atime for access minutes and access days. Now let's see how we can use cmin and ctime to find the changed files and directories. People often confuse with mmin and mtime with cmin and ctime. Modified minutes and modified days deals with the actual content of the file or the directory. But whereas changed min and changed days are deals with the metadata of the files and directories. So changed min and changed days does not deals with the actual content of the files or directories. It only deals with the metadata of the files and directories. Metadata in the sense the permission of the files or directories, user of the file or directories, group of the file or directories, or it can be anything other than the content of the file or directory. For example, let's say if you want to find all the files whose content is changed in last 10 minutes, then you have to use mmin. But if you want to find all the files whose metadata are changed in last 10 minutes, then you have to use cmin. So let me show you a demo how we can use cmin and ctime to find the files which are changed some time ago. For example, let me use find dot and I want to find all the files which are changed 10 minutes ago. So if you see here, we are not getting any output. This means none of the files are changed 10 minutes ago. Now let's say I want to change the permissions of this file. For example, then I'll be using chmod. I'll be providing 777 to the signup file. So now we have provided 777 permissions to the signup.log file. Now if I run the same command, I'm getting this output. Because we have changed the metadata of the file signup.log file, so we are getting this output. So similarly, how we have cmin and ctime, we also have amin and atime. So this represents the accessed minutes and accessed days. If you want to find all the files or directories which are accessed some time ago, then you can go with amin and atime. Let's say if you want to find all the files and directories which are owned by a specific user, then you can use find space dot and you can provide -user and you have to provide the name of the user. So in this case, let me provide root. So here you can see we are getting all the files and directories which are owned by user root. And here you can see we are having all the files and directories which are owned by. So now let's say if I change the ownership of this register.log file to, let's say, demo user. So I'll be using chown and I'll be specifying the user. I'll provide demo VM and I'll provide the group as well to the same demo VM, and I'll give this ownership to the register.login page. So if I click on enter and if I click on ls, so here you can see for the register.log file, I have changed the user and group to demo VM. Now let's say if I use the same command to find all the files which are owned by demo VM. So here you can see I'm getting this register.log file. So if you want to find all the files and directories which are owned by specific group, then instead of user, you can directly provide the group and you will get the files which are owned by the demo VM group. In this way, you can use find command in Linux and Mac OS to find all the files and directories based on the size, permission, modified time, change time, access time, and many more.